Ordered! Send more house to save the house! Come on, the house!
So welcome to the Housecast. We initially thought we'd do one every fortnight or even a month, but the way the cricket season's going, we could almost do one every 3 days, the different things that are coming out and what's happening. It's so good to see. I do genuinely, and I want to speak to some of our guests about this. The weather does help and the pitch conditions does help with the way the games have gone and, you know, games of our lifetime or whatever else we want to call it. It's amazing how we're not even in June and we've had some fantastic games. So we decided to record again. Thanks, Dooch, for the support and, yeah, let's do it. You're a proper doer. So thanks very much, Dooch. I think it's the right thing to do. Do you agree? Don't nod your head. It's an audio podcast, this, Dooch.
I didn't know you were coming to me specifically. Sorry, Jez. Yeah, of course I agree. I think we should do one every week, win, lose or draw.
Right. It does get difficult when it's a boggy pitch and game's been crap and we've fallen asleep. But it does help. But no, I agree. Let's try and do it because there's other stuff going on. You know, the way the seconds are going. I just want to talk about the seconds now, if I can. I'm not sure who sat in Adam's front room there.
Who that is, yeah.
But anyway, second team, how fantastic is that? I'm doing some research this morning. You know, obviously they were top of the league last week. We did the podcast, had Declan on, came across so well. And this week they beat Walsden at Walsden. What a great knock from Will Norcross. 128 off 118 balls in our total of 255. Hiya, Joe Martin. Have you spoke to anyone about that second team win? Can you give us an update as to what went on?
I spoke to Dex Stanley this morning. I sent him a message to congratulate them on the win because it was a really good win, especially when two of the players had moved up into the first team. So obviously Will Norcross batted extremely well and Deck took a 5 for himself. So a really good team performance. And Walston are a good side. So it was a good win. Good work from the second team.
Yeah, it looked it. Yeah, I mean, I'm only doing the scorecard reading, but, 255, 45 overs is a fair old score. But they've had a go. Their opening batter's got 81. But again, great work by Declan, who, was a great off-spinner when he was a young kid and carried on. 15, 16, looked like he was going to be a great off-spinner, went off the boil a little bit and batting came on, but a 5 for. So second team are still there at the top of the league. Whilst that is a fantastic achievement, we can't get away from talking about what happened on Saturday. So for the listeners, the Walsden at home game was played on Saturday because our first team were in the LCF away at Penrith on the Sunday. So things get moved around a little bit. I think it works. And what a great build up to the game. The pitch was looking great. It was going a lot of sand coloured everywhere. I was hoping it wasn't going to break up and have no bounce there at all. Did you watch any of it, Gaz? Welcome and thanks for joining us. Did you watch much, Gaz, on the stream?
When Adam got his act together after first innings, yeah. Seriously, probably caught best part of the game. Second innings, thriller. Wonderful.
Yeah, it was. And as I said, they were... the pitch was looking so great, and we'll come on to our guests in a minute, what it's like to play on those pitches. It's almost regular now. Good cricketers, competitive cricketers want to play on that, so it's a fair track. Whatever you put in, whether you're batting or bowling, you'll get the benefit from it. So without further ado, let me introduce our... Well, Joe Martin's on here, but I think I'd like him to be a guest tonight, not a host. But with you, Joe, in the Joe Martin room is your brother Paddy. Hiya, Paddy.
Hey, Jez, you all right?
Really good, thank you. Yeah, I feel a little bit in awe, you two sat in there after what you did on Saturday, but we'll go into that in more detail. What's your view on the way the pitches are going? There's been no rain, so they are they are probably a little bit barer than we'd like, but they produce good cricket games. You know, what's your view over the last 3 or 4 weeks, the way it's gone with the pitches?
I think it's a lot better because it doesn't. When there's a lot of rain around and stuff like that, it can be little bit of a leveler, can't it? Really, you get goals that probably shouldn't happen. You get games shortened, so it makes it a little bit more tricky to set yourselves up for it. So when it's makes it a bit more of a fairer contest, I think, when it's like it is at the minute.
Yeah, I think you're being a bit modest there, Paddy, and as you know, I genuinely mean this, that the better cricketers, the ones who can push themselves, you know, and I'll come on to some of the Walsden players when I say that. It's not just about us. It does bring out the best of you. I think mediocre cricketers can play on those difficult wickets, if you want, or the wet wickets. But no, I agree. What the square doesn't seem to break up as much, Paddy, as it. Going back years, we did have dry spells, believe it or not, but it used to turn to sand a little bit and just didn't bounce at all. Has that changed because of the work that's gone into them, in your view?
I think so, because even up to last year, sort of dry wickets in the second half of the innings would turn really dusty.
Yeah.
And, it'd be really difficult chasing. I mean, it's still difficult chasing down here because of how low it gets, but yeah. Definitely holding together, I think, a little bit more. They're not turning into those dust balls that you get later in the summer when it's June, July, and it's really difficult to chase anything over 150, really. So I think there's a big difference so far.
Yeah, and again, that let's look at the spectators probably since COVID, 2020. The spectators, the community spirits that's there, again on Saturday, there's probably 500 people watching, all boozing, all spending money, and it does generate back into the club, and money can be spent on the ground and make these pitches as good as they possibly can be. Even the outfield as well, Paddy. It's bizarre to watch almost someone plays a big shot and it ball's bouncing through the outfield and it's so quick, but there's bits of sand coming up. We never saw that. It used to be bits of mud or, the odd daffodil or the odd mouse coming out of the water. How's that fielding on there now? Is it rock hard on the outfield?
Yeah, it's horrific, to be honest, Jez. But yeah, I saw Roger cutting the outfield the other day and it was just a trail of dust behind him. I don't really know if it's even cutting it if it's that dry. But it's difficult because as soon as someone gets in and they're away, it's really difficult, especially this ground because of the little pockets you get around. It's difficult stopping somebody who's going well on this outfield now. Yeah,
and I suppose, Gary, we go back to our days early, in the
30s.
You dick. In the in the 90s and it was the opposite. You would be running and you'd disappear down a pothole, or what would they call where there used to be a big hole appear, something sink, and we'd half break our ankle. You remember those days, Gary? And then obviously the reservoir that used to appear at the bottom.
Oh yeah, fond memories of that, Jez. Fond memories.
Whereas now it's all about how dry it is. So, but it is uneven. You're right, Paddy. So it is difficult, but. Let's get on to the game. So we'll come on to the last guest who's on. A lad who has played for us for a lot of years, junior, coming through as young as I can remember, a great cricketer, playing really well, 12, 13, 14, 15, and has developed into a top amateur, went away proing for a little bit, which is all credit to the lad, and comes back now, and it's phenomenal what he puts into the team. Okay, Joe, welcome to the Housecast. How are you doing?
I'm very well, Jeremy. Yourself?
Yeah, all good, thank you. Yeah, all good. Excited watching that cricket now. I don't want to miss any of it.
No.
I don't want to be late. I didn't get there for the start on Saturday. But what's it like to play in that side now? You're probably one of the more experienced players. You play a vital role. At certain times. What's it like playing in there now?
Yeah, it's unreal, to be fair. The talent in that side's absolutely phenomenal. I was speaking to Manage a couple of weeks ago, and I was saying it reminds me of that 2014 team with the likes of Matt Walker and Ferg. You've got Tom Walker a year older now, and Charlie Gansler, Henry Cotton. There's just talent everywhere you look.
Yeah. And do you nurture that? Do you give advice? Do you talk through different parts of your experience in your game, or do you just carry on as Hawke has done?
I actually don't know. I don't say much, to be fair, which is quite surprising. I just sit back and let it all happen, to be honest. You've got some big characters in that changing rooms, the likes of obviously Ben and Dan and Johnny Whitehead, and then you've got Manage giving his advice. So I just stay quiet and get on with it.
Which is fantastic. How old are you now, Hawke?
Me, 35 now.
All right. So, if we go back to the days, you will accept this, and I mean this as a compliment. You've always been daft as a brush. You play the game really hard. You've always got, some attitude to the game, which is really good, and you're funny with it. You're a real character. You'll come out with daft things. So you'll genuinely just leave it to the others and enjoy it, and then just perform like you did on Saturday.
Yeah, absolutely.
Good
take
lad.
It all in my stride when I can, and obviously my role's changed a lot now in that team. Yeah. Obviously with Tom Walker and Charlie coming through, I just when I'm needed on by Ben, I'll try and perform to my best.
So before we go into the game, because it interests me this, myself, and I think Dooch was there as well, like you mentioned about the great side in 2014 that won the league. That must be difficult to adapt to. You were the main strike bowler. You had some really good pace about you. You were hostile and you would get yourself fit and ready to bowl it. So you could literally go a couple of games and not, if we get battered or we win easily, you're not really used. You're not going to be in the top 8 as a batter. How do you set yourself up mentally for that type of, ready for the game when it can just happen in 3 weeks? Or
it's a good question, to be fair. The way I approach the game hasn't really changed just because my role's changed. I mean,
right.
I know Ben can throw me the ball at any point during the game, and I know that I'll be ready to perform to my best of my ability. And then, obviously, when it comes to the batting, I've never really practiced, should we say. I just go in and try and play the situation to the best of my ability.
And you do, we can go into that is probably Saturday, probably the 5th game I've watched, which is an outstanding performance from you personally to get the lads across the line, and crikey, we can't get the stats up and think about it now. But there's not many others who've done it once, never mind 5 times, in really big games, Worsley Cup finals, top league games like this weekend, and it's a credit to you that you are relatively cool about it now, and you can just deal with the moment, which is quite scary for the opposition. Joe Martin, and I know he's on the call, is Hawke being accurate there? Is he being truthful that he's just laid back and lets all the other characters get on with it?
Yeah, I think so. I think that's a very fair assessment of how that team operates at the minute, and it just makes sure everybody can do what they want to be ready to play at the weekend. So he's very easy going.
Yeah, it's always been easy going. It's always been really good fun. But I think it's a real skill, and the three of you on this call, which is an absolute pleasure for us to talk to you, and the spectators will want to listen of how the game went. But you're 9, 10, 11, potentially, and historically, we can only go on stats history. People could go 10 games at 9, 10, and 11, and either not bat, or you're chasing 150, and it's dog shit that you've wasted another weekend because you've not bowled or you've not battered, and it's so difficult. But you three have kept yourself in the zone, ready for these sort of occasions. So I want to talk through the game and just jump into the three of you as we go through as quickly as I can. Dooch, you've watched so much cricket. You were an outstanding skipper for us and won a lot of trophies. How do you see this season going, as the way that we've had at least 2, if not 3, really outstanding games, including the one that we got beaten? It seems unreal to me. What's your thoughts on it?
I think it's a byproduct of how good the league is, really. I think the league's excellent. I think the teams have got a lot more strength in depth than maybe in previous years, or maybe teams in the bottom division. And we're obviously a really good case in point there for strength and depth, and Saturday sort of proves that. But all the teams, or the teams at the top, Burnley were in a similar position to us a few weeks ago. I can't remember who they were playing against, but they needed 40 for the last pair, and their last pair was Barrett and Fergus.
Yeah.
Both of them were very, very good players.
Yeah.
So I think the league's got stronger, as in there's more strength in depth in each of the top sides, and that's sort of bringing about these games that look like they're going one way and end up going in another direction. I just think that's a byproduct of how good the league is now.
And it's a great point. We've mentioned, I don't know, on the last few podcasts, as the players that are in there, you're not carrying anyone. They're not, I know the second division might be a little bit different, but in that top division in the Premier League, there is, everyone's will. You look at Rami, who are struggling a little bit this year, who just got promoted, but they've a good side. Fielding at the top of that order. There's some good players in there. So no, it's a great point, and that's why I suppose it is so entertaining to watch. Let's go through the actual game. So they win the toss and obviously bat. And I say obviously, great track. And it was still relatively warm, I think. There was no cloud about it. It wasn't as warm as it's been, but it's a bit taxing to play in those conditions and to manage it all. Paddy, you opened the bowling here. Was there a solid reason behind that? Because Charlie Gansler's done it previously. Was there a change because of the pitch?
I don't think so. I think it's more just a on the day sort of thing. So they've got a left-hander at 1, left-hander at 3.
Yeah.
Who, in theory, I should be better bowling at. So yeah, I think that comes into it. And also, if it's, I think I can bowl a little bit tighter than Charlie with it being spin. So it means that I can, have a bit of an attack from that end.
And I suppose that's, Cracker, we're never going to give any of your tactics or secrets away. But, Walsden are a quite aggressive side, a little bit like ourselves. And to hold the ball back a little bit, and if it is going to dust early on, the spinners, you've got a bit of a chance. And I'm sure Ben would have swapped it quite early. But it's quite good to see Tom Walker pushing himself off sight screen and bowling at some serious pace. What's it like, Hawke, with Tom Walker? You used to be like that. You'd run in from sight screen and try and knock people's head off. Is it a pleasure to watch him? Do you chat to him as he's bowling?
No, I'll leave Tom to it, to be fair. He's one on his own. But yeah, it's great to see. He's a good lad. He's a character. But yeah, it's really good to see him running in from sight screens, and he's got a bit of swagger about him, a bit of an attitude, but he completely backs it up. So good on him.
And you're right that he, because he does sometimes he gets a little bit, maybe bowling the short ball too often when it should be, bowling to Joe Martin. He's got so many caught behinds off Joe, not just on Saturday, but that's the attitude of a really quick bowler. And certainly those first 4, 5, 6 overs, it works a treat. So you've got Josh Gale out early on, Paddy. He's a good player. It's good to see the back of him. And the other opener, you've caught him behind the stumps, Nick Barker, and before the game's really started, and a red hot day and a great pitch, they're 2 for 7. Your thoughts then, Joe Martin? Were you still thinking, no, we need to stick in this and we're not going to roll them?
I think, I said all last week, Walsden are a very good team.
Yeah.
They bat all the way down to number 11. They're a very aggressive team, so I don't think they were ever going to sit in, regardless if they lost. So you've just got to kind of keep going, and they've got some really destructive players. And Jake, who got 60 odds of very, very good bats for long periods of time. So they were never out of it, and as was shown, and I think a lot of the teams in the league are like that, as Dooch mentioned, that it's a really good standard. There are lots of good teams in there, and even if you get them 3, 4 down, 5 down, there's still got players that can come in and get them to a score that they can bowl at. So no, I don't think we let off or or even slipped away.
No, but it is, as spectators, when they ended up, let me just go back, because the pros coming in, and you're right, Jake Houston's a great player, but they are 25 for 4, 31 for 5. I'm thinking this, if they get 120 good on them, and the way that, certainly where Johnny and Ben go out and are so positive, a little bit of a Middleton game, but that you're 100% right. That's why you're still playing and I'm sat watching, that you cannot switch off. They're pro. You caught him behind Joe off Tom Walker. Great catch.
It wasn't too bad. Pretty standard.
No, it looked it. I mean, he can back, can't he? Kira Handage, Wimala Sekra.
Yes.
He's a good player looking at what he's done before, but he's gone for 5. Olsted's gone for 1. And then Josh's brother Joe Gale has gone for 2, and I want to talk about him in a minute. And then they've pulled it together a little bit, and then they're not going for it, but it's they're still being relatively positive, but they want to see if they can bat as many overs. Am I right in thinking, Paddy, they had a few first teamers missing as well?
Good question, Jez. I think they had a couple.
Yeah, Shat weren't playing, were he? And Cam Hansen.
Gilly didn't
Elliot didn't play. Cameron played a lot, hasn't he?
So it was good to see that the younger lads that came in that just stuck around with Houston. They'd.
I mean, that lad got 80 odd as well, Jez, on Sunday against the second team.
Yeah, that was Brandwood, weren't it?
Play.
Yeah. Yes, there's Miles Bramwood, who stuck around for a long time. It was a good knock, that. I mean, I'm just trying to work out, what they put on there. They put on 80 odd. Barker, they put on 80 odd, and then they put on 40 odd with Bramwood. And then, it got to the stage where I thought Houston was just going to hang around and let the 9-10 Jack bat around him, and then maybe go mental in the last 2 or 3 overs once he's 60 or 70 and try and get 280. Did he go a bit early, do you think, Hawke, Houston?
I wouldn't say so, no. I mean,
no.
He batted well, but I don't think he'd given a chance, had he, up until then? He batted really well. So he was obviously backing himself. Hit a few lusty blows off Tom from the park end, so his confidence was high. He was striking it well, so why not carry on?
Yeah, and we don't know what faith he's got in those lower order batsmen. I just, but I was really confident that 150 was nowhere near enough for not as much as the Middleton game, but I was happy that we were going to knock those off quite easily. Paddy, you're 2 for 34 off 13 on those tracks is outstanding. And Tom Walker's got a 5 for there. Bowling 14 overs at that pace is difficult. Dan's, come in with, around 3 and over. So, personally, a great performance. They probably got more than I anticipated after the first hour. But then we opened the batting. Just Joe Martin, just talk us through Joe Gale and the way he bowls and the way his attitude is to the game. We all know the great cricketers, him and his brother. His dad, Kenny, I used to play against. They were at Bay Cup. They don't give up, do they?
No, definitely not. Really skillful bowlers. Swings the ball away, and especially when he's coming from the car park end, and bowl really well first up. I think he really tests batters' techniques. And he bowls quite sharp. He's not slow. And he hits the pitch hard.
Yeah.
It's a real test. He's a very good bowler.
Yeah, and he was putting everything in, weren't he? Like I said, it was warm. He was, potentially thinking, we need to bowl you out in 30 overs. We need to really get through you and bowl you out. So he was, he really was bending his back, and a great performance. And then their pro, Paddy, coming on from the park end, he looked tight. I'm not suggesting he had anyone in massive amount of trouble, but he was very tight. And then, he gets Henry out, and we're 30 for 2. What was the feeling in the dressing room then, Paddy?
Well, we
Truth.
don't we? Off what was that wicket of Henry's 8 overs, something like that.
Yeah, lots to go.
So 120 off 42 overs with 8 wickets left. It'd be fairly routine, really.
Yeah.
That was my thoughts, Jez.
So then Ben gets bowled by Joe Gale. You know, it looked a cracker out down at deep backward point, and it looked a great ball. Ben's come down the track, and he's bowled him. You know, at that stage, you know, we need some. Is that someone's washing machine?
Certainly ain't mine, Jez.
And I'm in my van.
Be a chemical toilet.
No, we haven't got one. I've got a Lenore bottle. Hey. Just mute yourself, Joe Martin and Hawke.
How do you do that?
Press your screen and then press the microphone button.
Top right-hand corner.
That's it. It's gone off now. Oh no, it's back. It's yours, Hawke. So leave yourself on mute, and then we can we'll just bring you back in. So then there's a crazy run out from Dan. Obviously, I don't want you to give secrets away, and I'll leave it to either Joe or Paddy. There seemed some frustration from Dan. Seemed as if, you know, he thought it was a run. Was it a run? I don't know. But then he's slipped because the surface is so hard. What happened when he got in the dressing room?
I don't want to flag anything, but I wasn't watching at the time. I was talking to Lewis Moss, so I didn't see him get it, and I was on the other side.
Over to you then, Paddy.
I don't know if it were a run or not. Possibly might have got there, might have not got in, but I was always taught if the pro says run, you'd run.
Did he slip?
Oh, big style.
Yeah, Lewis said he slipped because I wasn't watching.
Yeah, he's halfway down. He probably, I think he would have probably been run out with a good throw and the stumper takes it, but he slipped and so he's miles off. But he's clearly absolutely fuming because he looked like he was set and on that sort of pitch, potentially 60, 70, 80 not out and just walk it for us. But then we'll go through, you know, Henry's got out to the LBW, which I think fair to Henry, he walked before the umpire put his finger up. And Tom and Charlie and really Toxic get out quite cheap. Charlie Cottam gets out, caught and bowled, and you three are left in the dressing room, the three of you. Any discussions going on between the three of you? And I'll leave it to you three to decide who tells us.
Well, I didn't have any discussions with anybody.
No?
I was just kind of sat watching.
Did you know what number you were batting, Paddy?
Yeah, I seem to recall walking in and just looking at Hawke and saying, "What's going on here, Joe?" Because it all happened very quickly, really, didn't it? It was.
Well, there were 30 overs left, weren't there? By the time we came in,
I went in after 17 overs, so there was loads of time left. But it just unravelled quite quickly.
Yeah, I was still pretty confident though. Like, yeah. I don't know. I don't know what it is about us, but yeah, we bat all the way to 11, don't we? So
yeah,
like you said, there's 30 odd overs left. It was a good batting track.
So Hawke, do you know you're batting 11 when Charlie's out at 6? Well, no, before that, when as Tom and Gansel are out, are you aware you're number 11? Because I know that swaps around a little bit, whether it's Joe Martin or if Tox is down there. Did you know you're batting at 11?
Yeah. I mean,
okay.
I probably held a bat 3 or 4 times this year, so I'm happy being at 11. It doesn't bother me at all.
No, it's just the mindset really that I'm trying to get out. And so we've got, with 63 for 7. Charlie's in with, probably 60 for 6 with Charlie and Toxie. Toxie gets out, and then Charlie gets out, and Paddy, you've gone in there. As you've said, Joe Martin, there is so many overs left, and you're all so, correct players. You are quality in what you do. But us spectators were talking it through, and your sister walked past about 14 times, Joe and Paddy, saying, "How we're going to go here, Jez? Are we going to do it? We're going to do it." And it's difficult because you've got one mistake or one real absolute jaffer or something bizarre happens. You get run out backing up. Is that in your mind? So Paddy and Joe, you've got together at 63. So we're 63 for 8. What are you talking about, you two, when you're out there?
I think one of the first things I said to Joe is, "Joe, this should be fairly straightforward. We need 2.5 and over."
Yeah.
Our kind of tempo.
There's 30 overs left. The only issue is there's only me and you.
Yeah.
There's only 2 wickets left. So if we just bat fairly sensibly, then it should be fairly straightforward.
What do you mean? There's only me and you.
Well, the issue was, okay, I didn't know if you got your bag out of the car yet or not.
It takes up too much room in that changing room.
As I was walking out to that, okay, we're going for his bag out of the car.
You're going to get his pads and his bat.
And just before that, Jez, do you know when Charlie's in, it doesn't matter the situation. I always think we're going to win. If Chaz is at the crease, I just have a real he's a great player. I just have a real confidence in him. And he was batting really well. He started the season brilliantly.
I get that, Joe, and you're all great players. You know, you can do all that, but it is literally one mistake. You know, it's something bizarre that that could happen. But certainly, I mean, I'll tell you my view. When you two were batting, you looked so calm and cool, and you weren't bothered if you knocked back 10 dot balls, or there were 3 maidens in this, in a 4 or 5 over spell. You look cool and calm about it. But then Paddy,
Jez.
Say again, Joe.
Good time on our side. That's the thing. We had a lot of overs to bat. How many did we need? 90, I think.
You did 90.
So
you're undervaluing what you've done, Joe. You're undervaluing it. It's difficult.
It wasn't a bad wicket, Jez. I mean, that's the other thing. The ball wasn't turning a lot. It wasn't like, sometimes you go in when you're 60 for 8 and ball's turning past your head and you've got to try.
No, we just lost 7 wickets for 33.
Yeah, I know that, but that happened. So the pitch was fine. Their pro had also bowled quite a lot of overs as well. It was always threatening, but he bowled a lot of overs. We didn't really discuss any tactics at all. We're just looking at the score and trying to work in tens. So can we get it down to 80? And then obviously, as you go down, and then can we get points? Yeah. Can we try and get a batting point, and then work from there.
What you're saying, Joe, is I accept it all, and you did look cool, and the fans would think you were cool, but it was exceptional. The way you coped with it, the way that, and so I want to move on now. Dooch, have you anything else before I move on to their bowlers about the situation? I don't feel it's right that Joe Martin's underselling what him and Paddy did, even for that 2 or 3 overs. What's your thoughts, Dooch?
Yeah, I completely agree with you, Jez. I wasn't actually at the game on Saturday. I was following it on Play Cricket with me and Blaise were out, and I pretty much gave up on it when we were 63 for 8. I have to be honest. I didn't really give us much chance from there, just because we just lost 7 wickets for 30.
Yeah.
But then we kept periodically checking the score, and I said to Blaise, "What do you think? At what point do the Walsden players get a bit twitchy here?" Because when we were 63 for 8, they would have been absolutely cock-a-hoop. There would not have been one thought in their brain that they would not win that game from 63 for 8. No chance. So how many do we have to get before the doubts start creeping in to the Walsden lads? And I thought if we get to 110 and Paddy and Joe are still in, then that would be a bit of a flip in the dynamic of the game.
Yeah.
I was just trying to picture what I would be like in that fielding in that situation. So the fact that we got past that and then we still had Hawke to come after that, obviously, was crucial.
Yeah, I think, Dooch, if I can, and I don't know whether the 3 players will add to this. Walsden were absolutely fantastic. They stuck at it like I've not seen. You're right. Once say it gets 100, 110, and these 2 are still there, because it makes it worse. You're probably better off with a Hawke and a Matt Hope gobbing off to you, saying how sharp you are. Yeah. And then it keeps them going. It keeps them going. But you've Joe and Paddy, who just didn't look in any trouble, weren't bothered about patting it back because with lots of overs. But I cannot praise enough how Joe Gale came back for 2 or 3 different spells. He's really blowing. He's bowled a lot in the conditions that he's bowling in, but came back. Their pro, was bowling really well. I know what you're saying, Joe Martin, that he's not turning it, but we weren't getting a lot of runs. And I accept what you're saying now. We weren't going to get you out.
Well, he could have got me out at any point. Most bowlers can. No, it's just that I thought it wasn't like the pitch was massively in their favour.
No.
So you could bat on it and keep batting if you.
Yeah.
It's just about the decisions that you make in split second can often dictate and some of the decisions that they made as well. I mean, I think they were going to put a goalie in at one point. This is a bit of an obscure point, but they were going to put a goalie in at one point, and they decided against it and put him back on the field. And he bowled a slightly wider one that I hit straight to gully that bounced to where he was fielding. So it's those decisions that can change a game, I guess, in any point. So I think that's the point I was trying to make in that. It wasn't massively in their favour.
Yeah, and it is fine lines.
Admit it, the pitch wasn't.
Yeah, but it's fine lines. Those are real fine points that can change a game just because of a gut feeling or a good. I thought they managed the bowling changes really well. They saved the pro for 3 overs, and then we were all thinking he's going to come on and bowl 1 and then come back off, or is he going to bowl through? But they clearly understood that you two could bat, and I know they would know that before the game, but you weren't looking in any trouble. And and Josh Gale came onto bowl, and I thought Hewson bowled quite well in his early spell. I think I thought he was bowling the right length, the right pace. Like I said, it's not turning a lot, but he was bowling in the right areas. And when I was really confident in you all, but I wasn't convinced we were going to win it. I just thought it's one mistake here. You just need it. And then when we 10 down, it's extra pressure. And I know Hawke can handle that pressure, but it's difficult to get 30, 40, 50 runs, no matter how many overs you've got, when they are a good side, a quality side. And that's why it was such a shock when Paddy got out. And if you don't mind, Paddy, I'll describe it, and then I'll ask you to say what happened. You two was almost coasting it with 1 or 2 and over, and then there was a great shot for a boundary, and then all of a sudden it seemed it either stopped in the pitch a little bit, or it came off your middle of the middle of your bat too well, and you get caught at like a short cover. Is that accurate?
Yeah, I think I just stopped on it a little bit. I could see Hawke's marching up and down on the decking.
I was just seeing what balls were doing.
But yeah, really, what I should have just gone through with this shot, gone over it.
Yeah.
Played a similar shot, the over bit.
So just again for the for the listeners, because they love listening to you players when we've done what you've done. What changes? What changed that shot from the shot you did previously? I know the answer, but I just, they would want to know how come it's so different.
The only plan I'd had when I was batting was to not hit a ball in the air.
Yeah.
And I didn't hit one ball in the air until just not quite. The problem with Joe when he came back on there, he was still getting it to swing away a little bit.
Right.
And that one just went enough that he just waited a little bit longer to chase it.
I think what we could say as ex-players and players is that you don't know why. There's no real reason. We can't work out what changes between a shot and another shot. It might be a little bit of the bowler's ability, something changing the pitch, but that happens, and that's why the game of cricket is as good as it is. It can change at the drop of the hat. So 131, we still need 22. Okay, what's going through your mind?
To be honest, I thought Joe and Paddy were going to knock them off. So
yeah.
I was relatively calm, but then obviously Paddy's got out, and it's like you've been saying. Obviously, I'm walking out at number 11, which I haven't done that often, and I'm thinking 1 error by myself or Joe, and it's game over, or 1 Jaffa, it's game over. So yeah, just one of them.
Do you want strike Joe in them situations, or would you be happy for Joe, the other Joe, to take it? Hawke, I'm talking to you. Do you want the ball in there, or are you happy to get down the other end?
At the start, I'm happy to get down the other end. Obviously, Joe's been in, got himself in, looking $1 million. So if he wants to take the strike early doors, that's fine. But I'm one of those batters where if I hit my first boundary, I'm usually all right. But in those early stages, I'd probably say for Joe to take the strike because he's been in a lot longer than me.
Yeah, and I think just going back to what you were saying, Dooch, you were chatting to Blaise about getting to 100, 110 there. Their peckers are down. They can't get. They're so motivated. They carried on. They really did. And it was only probably 2 overs before Paddy were out when they started getting a bit fed up, and they were quiet and not being as vocal and in the umpire's ears. And Paddy and Joe, you're right, okay, they'd won it by that stage. Once Paddy's out, they're back at it. They need 22 runs, and it's anyone's mistake then, and they've got I think did their pro have 2 overs left there, okay, when you came in?
Yes, I think so.
Yeah, he did. He did. I remember now because, and again, Dooch, just to describe it, Hawke he was like Jeff Boycott against him. It was absolutely fantastic. He just wasn't going to take a risk. I don't think he would have got him out because, as Joe Martin said, the pitch was so good. But as why take a risk? There's umpteen overs left. He just managed the situation, and I think that really knocked the stuffing out of him, Hawke. You know, they were thinking, you know, you're a great batter, you're aggressive, that you'll take him on, and you didn't. You know, it was all credit to you. Joe Martin, what were your thoughts when Hawke's doing what he's doing, and you will obviously a bad ball, you'll put it away, a good ball, you'll just work it around. Did you ever feel that one mistake, one Jaffa, do we need to push on? Do we need to accelerate here and take on, you know, whether it's Josh Gale or the other lad, the Barker that came on? Did you ever feel we needed to be more aggressive?
No, again, because we had so much time to bat. I think one of the kind of differences or the swings that you have as me and Pat were batting together, and then when me and Hawke, is that when you go in needing 90, the kind of risk and reward is a little bit greater, I guess, in that you can play your shots a bit more, knowing that if you get out, and by that I mean I don't mean reckless shots.
Yeah,
you can try and hit boundaries and try and attack a bit more to try and get you close. Knowing that if you get out, that there are things that have happened earlier in the game that mean that not really your fault, as say, but it means that you can play with a little bit more freedom. But then as you start getting closer, the risk becomes greater because of kind of weight.
The expectation.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So I think that certainly how I felt when I was batting, that I probably played with a lot less freedom as we got towards 30, 20. And a case of still there were loads of overs left. There was still 10 overs you could bat.
That's a good thing about batting with Hawke. If he's in for 10 balls, he's going to be on 10 as soon as there's a ball in his area.
Well, he nearly outscored us.
That's what he does really well. So that helps you. Yeah. The pressure to your faces.
But he batted the pro superbly, Jez, as you said.
It was. And he's not reckless, Paddy. You're right there. And as I've alluded to, the other 3 or 4 big games that he's contributed massively to, he's not reckless with it. You know, the shots that were played. And I missed this point that I wrote down, Paddy. The sweep shots that you were playing, which you weren't playing traditional sweep shots, but you hit 2, if not 3 shots towards square leg and backwards square, which were outstanding shots, and that took a lot of pressure off, did that, Paddy? I meant to mention that earlier, but you're right. Hawke comes in, bats sensibly, and between the 3 of you, you know, you've hit 13 fours, which is a massive amount off that total, and makes up for those, for the maidens or the dot balls. I don't want to single any of our players out as playing poor shots or anything. What's the feelings of the players? Because the crowd do change. You know, certainly ones in front of the clubhouse, that when we're losing the wickets, what's the team's attitude there? Do you pick up on that? That, oh, crikey, we're throwing this away? Is that something you pick up on, or are you focused in on your own jobs? Any of you?
Well, for one, it's a team game, isn't it? So if you go out at 3 for 8, your jobs then really matter.
Yeah. But does it affect you? Does it affect you if you're getting? Do you get any of the noise that we're playing recklessly here and we're not going to win this because we're too reckless? Do you get that vibe as players?
We don't hear anything, do we? I mean, the way Ben and Salpy have instilled, like, just the way we bat now is we just take every bowler on, basically.
Yeah. Yeah.
If we get out playing a shot which we think's right to that ball, so be it. In comes the next one.
Yeah, which that it's a quality that other teams will fear, and it's good that you don't get the external noise and you get the panicking around it. So when you've actually, I think we needed 8 and then 6 and then 2, and it just seemed
we needed 18 and then.
I'm talking about when I was comfortable that you were going to win.
Sorry.
I just thought the way you were batting, the way Hawke looked so comfortable, and they had given up then, Dooch. Going back to your point, when we were about 138, 140, they had then given up, even though we were 9 down. and it just seemed a bit of a stroll. It was just going to happen when it happened. Hawke, and Joe Martin coming off the pitch. It's a league game. We're not even in June, but it's a real significant win. It's a fantastic performance from you three and the team. How great is that, walking off and then you're coming back on the pitch and having a beer sat together? How good is that, okay?
Oh, it's amazing. I mean, I think in the last couple of years, I think we'd have probably been 110 all out there.
Yeah.
But we've got that much confidence at the moment as a team. I mean, the camaraderie and things like that in the changing rooms is second to none at the minute, and we're just all having a laugh and enjoying our cricket together. And there's nothing better than playing with your set of mates at the weekend, and we're just all backing each other up. None of us care if we don't do well on that given day. If someone else is taking 5-6 wickets or scoring 50, 80, 100, then it's happy days. As long as the team's winning, then we're there for each other.
It's brilliant, and it's so good to see. And again, like I've alluded to earlier, there's probably nearly 200 people around the bottom of the steps cheering you off when you go back on, and and have a pint, sat around together. They're memories that you'll treasure for a long, long time. We'll wrap this up shortly, but I just want to go around everyone that's on just to give you, for you to give me your thoughts on that performance and the season and going forward. Joe Martin, a great performance from you again. You so undersell yourself, and I know we're mates and we chat and walk round, but you're 4 victims there. You're stumping really well. You're getting close to these different landmarks, and you batted so well there. You don't need to comment. All I'm saying is well done, Joe.
But could I just highlight as well the over that I think probably likely won us the game? Which
of course.
Wilson's Jake's over that he was bowling to Hawke. He hit the ball over mid-off and harder than I've ever seen anybody hit it. When I saw him walking down, and admittedly at that point I wasn't backing up that far than I had, but when he hit it, I thought, Jesus, and then he absolutely laced it to a fielder who'd not missed anything all day, and it sort of took his hand with it. And then took a couple off his legs for 4 to get us 12 and needing 6. So it was brilliant and able to do that. It was
It's a really good point, that, Joan. Sorry for interrupting you, but it's good to talk to Hawke about that, because I think Houston had bowled very well. Obviously, he'd had a great knock. Did he lose the plot a little bit there? He just seemed the pace just didn't seem as normal. He just seemed to be firing in a little bit. And what were your thoughts on that, Hawke? Was that over when you got 12 off him?
I mean, it wasn't premeditated as such, but I was saying to myself, if he's tossing one up here, I'm looking over that mid-off extra cover region. And obviously the first one that came down were a little bit tossed up, so I thought, but I ended up timing it a little bit too well and thought the guy at mid-off had stopped and caught everything all game, and I thought if he's catching that, then again sort of thing. But luckily it went straight to his hands and off down to boundary, and then the next couple of deliveries he fired them down leg side, and I managed to get a bat on it, and obviously there were no short fine legs, so they raced off down to Park.
Yeah. And you outfought him there, I think, or outthought him and fought him.
There's a sentence you never thought you'd say.
I know, but I managed to get it out. And those 2 that he fired down the leg side, I forgot. I was just looking then, thinking that there was some wides involved, but there wasn't. You were just getting a tickle on it, and it was flying down. So I think you proper outthought him there in getting those extra runs. Paddy, your thoughts, just summing up the game.
Well, I mean, it's probably one we should have never won. You don't win many. Well, I think it just highlights the fact that as soon as 1 or 2 of the top 6 get the batting, if we're winning games where I don't think anyone, but no one's gone on to get that big score yet, and it's a really good display for them. It'll come because they put in the hard work. The game put together.
And it does. And you're top at league, Paddy, so don't get too greedy. So you're doing a good job already. You're doing really well between you all. But I understand exactly what you're saying, and it's working at it. I think the weather's changing a touch towards the end of this week, and who knows how that will affect us, because we are positive. The positive cricketers. Just to throw it in here, Paddy, and for people who are listening, Paddy Martin only needs 47 league runs to get into that 3,000 runs and 300 wickets, which is a fantastic achievement. In fact, you only need 4 wickets to get into 400 wickets. So, Paddy, keep that going along. That's fantastic. I'll come back to you as players. Gary, what's your thoughts? I mean, we and you played in some great games. We went a season, I think, where we had a lot of close games towards the end, but ours were more to keep us in the above the bottom 3. I know you're over this weekend, but watching afar, it must be a pleasure for you to see what's with the way they're going.
Yeah, I didn't jump in throughout all that chat with the 3 guys there, because it was great to just hear that unfolding as they saw it, etc. But just a few observations really on that game, and I'll go in because I watched the second innings because like I said, the stream was down for most of the first. But the lads playing it down. I get it, because in that side, as soon as you start, yeah, I'm the big I am and all that sort of thing, everyone's going to take you down quite rightly. But the 3 lads there it's a rarity, so playing it down don't wash with me, that sort of thing. I know you're not boasting about it, but it's got to be acknowledged that how good that effort was from you 3 guys to sort of really bring those 10 points home. And I'm sure everybody's like, we're queuing up to slap you on the back or whatever, but boys, feel good with it, because there's some shit days in cricket, and those moments do last with you. So well done. And we touched on it. I can't remember which game it was early on in season. We were talking about Frankie not being there and stuff like that. And we said, looking down that order, there doesn't seem to be a weakness in that order, and you can mix up. And Ben's got so many options depending on state of the game, who's won the toss, what the scores are, etc., who we're playing, as to what that he can do with that batting lineup. So that's a real plus. And I think personally, watching the second innings, how we battered, notwithstanding there was a monumental collapse. I reckon subconsciously a lot of people in that side learned from the Littleborough game, and I'm not saying they've said, oh, we can't go and play shots now and things like that, but there just seemed to be a couple, weren't, as many of the reckless shots, if we I dare say reckless, but they just seemed to be there was. I don't know. I reckon subconsciously it was a good lesson learned. We could have done that against Littleborough probably, and I don't mean we can just knock those games off on the real, because I've said it's a rarity, but I reckon there was some lesson learned there, which is brilliant to see. It's not just, oh, we've been told to go out and be ourselves and play, sod the consequences. I think there was some good points there. The first innings was, like I said, I didn't really listen, so I've only looked at the stats, and we touched on like Hawke's role and stuff like that. And I know you've sort of worked around leave with works to play certain games. Jez did it a lot, and that's real commitment. So I don't know whether Ben's sort of factoring that into how much he uses you if you're going to be playing, missing an odd game and things like that, and he wants to try other combinations. But in a tight league that we've all acknowledged, there's a lot of good sides now, top to bottom. All our wickets in that first innings, none of them were bowled. So we took as catchers. There were 2 run outs, although one was probably like super easy, LB, etc. So again, we've done the right things there in the fielding. Fielding may well be, we've already got 14 bonus points. Have we bowled got 10 bowling bonus points? So that stuff like that could be the difference at the end of the day as well. We're all focusing on the great effort at the end of the innings. But what if we'd have been chasing 160, 170, 180 if we'd have dropped a couple of those catches? So brilliant that. Yeah, those are my observations on game, Jez. Yeah, fantastic. We said against Littleborough, even though we came off at the wrong end of it, it'd be good to watch that cricket regularly, that type of stuff, as long as we win more than we lose, of course.
Yeah, no, great points there, Gary. And it is, you're right. That is, I watch a little bit of Lancashire, but Lowerhouse is far more entertaining. The way the cricket is played, the quality that's there. You're 100% right. These lads are really pushing the boat out. It's fantastic to see. And so get down and watch us. Come on, keep coming down. It's so good. Paddy, final point before we go.
I think it actually was a perfect example of what Ben and Dan are trying to implement in that. Because you're not going at 7, 8 and over doesn't mean you're not putting on. Me and Joe were quite clear in what we needed to do. We had a clear game exactly, and that's what they're trying to get you to do, to go out there with a man that's full of different theories, different batting.
Yeah.
just going out there knowing exactly what to do.
Yeah.
And I just don't want that confusing when out there trying to whack it every. If that's what you think you can do, and you're great.
Percent, yeah.
Positively, I'm going to go and score, trying to. That's fine.
Yeah.
And I think that was a good example.
Yeah. No, I agree. And that taking that forward, it's got to be the right thing, and you lads are understanding your own games, and you've got that license to do it. Joe Martin, last point before I come to Hawke and finalise this great podcast.
No, great win, good team performance.
Good lad.
I think we bowled well. Good to get on.
Good lad. Okay, last words with you.
No, I echo what Joe and P have said. We're a confident team, and the camaraderie is good, and we just take every game as it comes. I mean, it's a big weekend this weekend, isn't it? Don't get much bigger than that. So, preparations begin now tomorrow. So, moving on.
Brilliant. And I'm not belittling the game at Penrith. I don't want to talk about that now. We can do that in the next podcast. I just really wanted to focus this on that great win from you lads and the second team win. So congratulations to the three of you. It really is an honour and a pleasure to have you on here, and people will listen to this and understand how great it is to win and how much they love what you did. And moving forward, it was a fantastic game. If people read Paul Hargreaves' synopsis of the game, it's a great read on our website. Have a good read of that and enjoy it. Let's hope there's plenty more to come. So thanks everyone for listening. Please look at the sponsors, support them where you can, and keep coming down and watching us for more games like that. Thanks very much, everyone. Good night.
Gordon, send Lowerhouse to save the house.